Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're getting ready to enroll a child in a South Dakota school, you are probably feeling completely overwhelmed by the sheer mountain of information out there, right? Well, today we're going to demystify South Dakota's decentralized school registration process together. We're breaking down the dates, the state laws, and the exact steps you need to take to ensure a totally smooth day one. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The statewide deadline myth. 2. South Dakota's statewide rules. 3. Navigating open enrollment. 4. The September cutoff date. And 5. Preparing your enrollment packet.
All right, let's dive right into this first part, the statewide deadline myth. If you're gearing up for the 2026-27 school year, you have probably typed this exact question into a search engine. When is the South Dakota registration deadline? And if you have, well, you've probably ended up incredibly frustrated. It feels literally impossible to find one simple date online, doesn't it? You're scrolling through state websites, bouncing around district portals, and just coming up totally empty-handed on that one magic calendar day. There's actually a very good reason for that frustration. We've got to bust this myth right out of the gate. The myth is that there's a single, statewide date that every school in South Dakota follows. The reality? Deadlines vary wildly. I mean, they change depending on your specific district, your child's grade level, and whether you're looking at a standard public school, a charter-style option, or you're transferring. Your absolute first step must always be checking your specific local district's page. Definitely do not assume a deadline just based on what the neighboring town is doing. So that brings us to Section 2, South Dakota's statewide rules. Now, while those local dates are all over the map, the state of South Dakota actually does mandate 3 very critical rules that you absolutely have to navigate. We're talking immunization documentation, kindergarten age cutoffs, and open enrollment guidelines. Listen, if you miss any of these statewide paperwork requirements, your local school's hands are tied. It can completely stall your enrollment, even if you turned your local form in perfectly on time. Let's break these down real quick. First up, immunizations. South Dakota law explicitly requires kids entering a school or an early childhood program to present certification of required immunizations before they're allowed in the door. This is non-negotiable, and it applies to preschool, kindergarten, and literally all K-12 new student registrations across the entire state. If you don't have those health records or the proper exemption paperwork ready to go, your enrollment is going to be delayed. And speaking of those immunizations, there's a very specific number you need to keep in mind if you have an older child, and that number is 45. The state requires a special 6th grade Tdap shot, but they actually provide a 45-day window after a student's 11th birthday to get this taken care of in certain cases. It's a super specific rule, but it's absolutely crucial for those middle school transitions. All right, let's look at another highly important number, 5. For kindergarten eligibility, South Dakota districts commonly follow the state rule that a child must be 5 years old on or before September 1st of the current school year. So if you're the parent of a kid with a late summer birthday, pay really close attention here. That birthday dictates whether they enroll this year or if they wait until the next. Always verify this rule with your local district so you aren't caught off guard. Moving right along to Section 3, Navigating Open Enrollment. General registration can open incredibly early. For example, for the 2026-27 school year, Sioux Falls opened way back on February 2nd, and the T area opened February 16th. But if you want to transfer via open enrollment, the state enforces some really hard cutoffs. Approval for a first semester transfer absolutely has to happen before the last Friday in September. Miss that, you're waiting until the second semester. And for second semester transfers, your cutoff is the last Friday in January. If you miss that one, well, you're waiting until the whole next school year. Now, there is a little bit of nuance here, so don't panic just yet. The state does outline a few exceptions to those strict open enrollment deadlines. They might not apply if a student is transferring to an alternative school, a specialized non-public program, or if the receiving district permits a late transfer due to some special circumstances. But remember, open enrollment isn't just an automatic yes anyway. Districts use capacity standards to decide if they even have the physical room for your student. Now, what's really interesting about this next part, Section 4, the September cutoff date. That last Friday in September, it isn't just arbitrary bureaucratic red tape. As the South Dakota Department of Education outlines, enrollment reports reflect the number of students officially enrolled on that specific date. This right here is the why behind the rush. This date is exactly how the state measures enrollment for school funding, staffing, and planning. If your child isn't fully enrolled by this date, the district might not count them in the same way for their funding purposes. And honestly, that is a massive reason schools push you so hard to get your paperwork in early. And to actually be counted in those really critical December data reports published by the state, a student has to be enrolled and present for more than 49% of the school day. So the state isn't just checking if a name is jotted down on a list. They are actively tracking actual attendance and instructional time based right around that September marker.
Okay, let's bring it all together in Section 5, preparing your enrollment packet.
Here is your 4-step action plan. Step 1, check your district website early in the year. Seriously, remember those February opening dates we just talked about? Step 2, collect your documents before registration even opens. Step 3, know your status. Are you confirming a resident enrollment or are you applying for open enrollment? Step 4, submit early. And most importantly, follow up with the school office if you don't receive a confirmation. Honestly, doing this in February or March is going to prevent an absolute panic attack in late August. To nail step 2 of that plan, here is your essential required documents checklist. A complete packet is way more than just clicking submit on a simple web form with your name and address. You're going to need proof of age, like a birth certificate, actual proof of residency, those all-important immunization records we discussed, records from previous schools if you're transferring, custody or guardianship papers if that applies to you, and any special education or IEP records your child might need. Do yourself a massive favor and gather this physical or digital paperwork right now. Finally, just keep in mind that districts often process registration in stages. Don't be fooled into thinking you're completely done after hitting submit on the first form. Submitting a basic registration form is really just phase 1. You've got to watch out for additional district requirements. They might ask you to set up a specific online parent portal account or require totally separate forms to get your kid on the bus route, set up for school meals, or cleared for athletics. So we've covered the myths, the strict state laws, and the exact checklist you're going to need, which leaves us with one final question for you. Is your enrollment packet ready? Early preparation is absolutely your best tool for a totally stress-free start. But, it kind of makes you wonder, if enrollment is this localized and nuanced, what other critical educational policies are being decided right in your own backyard rather than by the state? Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me today.